God goes with me wherever I go. God is my strength. Vision is his gift. God is my source. I cannot see apart from him. God is the light in which I see. God is the mind with which I think. Because in this perspective we have such an idealized comprehension or an idea of what God is, and what something that God is would have to be absolutely magnificent in order to generate and create a world like this, right? Or any sort of anything at all that you might define, say, godly beings or more advanced beings, or even the totality of what God is. It's pretty interesting because that then sets you down into a specific scale, says what you are, how advanced you are. Obviously not very advanced if you identify with this body. And so as you are coming to understand this information, it seems a little disorienting. You might get little glimpses of a truth, be like, oh, hey, God's thoughts are my thoughts, and my thoughts are God's thoughts. Like, la 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 di da. Oh man, it's like when you really hear what that's saying, it's mind blowing, and hopefully blowing up your mind in a fashion where you recognize what the totality of your mind actually is. So of course, what you are is far more than what you insist that you are, what you say that you are. So as you identify with this body, you are just a point of interest, literally like being intrigued, interested in this perceptual interpretation, this perspective of seeing, this experience of what you call your life. So you're one option, but the other aspect of yourself, the greater essence of yourself, is not far off. It's not something that is not literally connected to you. I always like the iceberg definition or idea to metaphor, that's it. The iceberg metaphor, where you are literally like a tip on the iceberg and it's just all that's floating above the water. But then there's a whole bunch more, literally more than, I don't even know the percentage. I think only less than 1/4 of the iceberg actually floats above the water. It's far more than that with you. You're just a tip of an iceberg of, quite literally in this huge iceberg. I like to think of it as, with two different icebergs, you and I, we talk to each other. Hey, I'm an iceberg. Well, I'm an iceberg too. Oh, look at me being an iceberg. Being an iceberg. Wow, what a great iceberg thing. Okay, but we don't talk like that, do we? With both of these icebergs, they go down under the water, under what you can't see, right? Under the water where you can't see. And they actually are connected to one ice cube, iceberg. You and this other and I are actually the same iceberg, but we look like on the surface two different things. You're over here and I'm over here, right? But we're actually connected down below. And the crazy thing is that what we are is solidified water that we float in. So it's all the water. We are all the water in which we exist and seemingly on top of. But the existence of it, like we are congealed into the shape and form. We are the iceberg of literally all is connected in so many different layers of our experience of what we are. And it's absolutely phenomenal when you really are grasping quite literally what this is saying, and essentially the theme of repeating these, where God goes with me everywhere I go. as mentioned, there's really only one being that goes with me everywhere I go. And then, I mean, just the mind in which I think. I mean, it's like the mind in which I think. God's thoughts are my thoughts, and my thoughts are God's thoughts. It's like to hear a statement like that, and to still be able to put guilt onto the Course, thinking that you're doing something wrong going into the illusionary world. Like, oh, you're really doing something wrong. A lot of people like to think with A Course in Miracles that you're doing something bad, believing in the illusion. My thoughts are God's thoughts, and God's thoughts are my thoughts. Even as I cannot see apart from Him. It's like, come on. You can only see what God wants you to see. And these review lessons are just absolutely even more profound than the lesson in which they are themselves. It's profound. That it's supposed to take you a little bit farther than the actual lesson did. And hopefully you're starting to recognize a little bit that this is just little sparks, little hints of truth. Hey, you're one with God. You're one with God. That doesn't mean two with God. That doesn't mean you're one with God but less than God. No, quite literally, one with God means you are one with God. Sure, you might be taking a specific characteristic, personality, body thing going on, a little tiny perspective. That's fine. Nothing wrong with that. But what you are that makes it possible to do this experience. Of course, the identification with the experience itself, the person. Oh, yeah, well, no, yeah, I don't have the ability to choose this, right? But what you actually are does. What you actually are does